What's up, everybody? It's your favorite murder droid handler's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Black Series Dr. Aphra, which is a fairly smart reuse of the Jaina Solo mold for the most part. Let's go ahead and take a look at her, and we'll start with accessories. So she comes with her kind of signature flight cap, and it's actually done very well. It's the base color plastic, which you can see on the inside, and then it is dry brushed heavily with like an olive green on top, and it comes across quite nicely. All of those like sculpted details end up coming out. You can even see how like the band of the goggles comes through the little straps inside that are like sewn inside the hat and all that. So that's really cool. And the brown paint on the strap is done fairly well, not 100% right by the edges, but done fairly well. And then the goggles are painted with both an outline in maroon, a lighter shade thereof on top, and then the silver for the lenses. And all works very well and fits on her head nicely. She also comes with a pistol, silver paint on the muzzle, as well as the hammer. Everything else is just sculpted detail. You can fit that in her thigh holster. It is a little tight, and the muzzle doesn't give you much sort of leverage when pushing this down, so be cautious there. You could bend it up fairly well. And she'll hold it as well and can have her finger in the trigger guard. Now let's talk about the figure. So they used a digital paint effect on her face, which is interesting because obviously there's not a live actress for her. So I'm not exactly, I guess they just picked somebody. I'm not sure who it is. I don't have that any kind of word on that, but it works well and it looks just like her. Like it looks like a very human, realistic approach at who the character looks like in the comics. And I'll be honest, I like when they do stuff like this, like when they did the Rebels crew and such, and they kind of give a more realistic, look to them. I'm on board for that. So her body is pretty much Jaina Solo without the flight suit, right? So all of this is just repainted. In fact, you can see how the seams were painted yellow on Jaina Solo are now just kind of part of the seamstress work for her. And the arms are new, I think. They could be reuses also. The legs are Jaina Solo and the boots are Jaina Solo. So, and I think even the belt is Jaina Solo. And this might be Jyn. I'll let you know here. No, it is not, so perhaps that's new. Now her head articulation is on a ball peg that goes down to a disc hinge, because this is the old style Black Series before they went to the double ball peg. So you can get up to about there, which isn't much. That's mainly due to the hair, and then down, but it works fairly well. And then you get the swivel and not really anything on the attitude. You have the floating vest, obviously. Underneath we have the disc hinge for the shoulder, get you up to there. And then it swivels where it pegs into the chest, which gets you around. No bicep swivel, but you do get it at the elbow on a single hinge that gets you 90 degrees. Now, all of this is this base plastic here, which is this gray, and then it's washed with a darker gray, almost a brownish gray. And it comes across very well and brings out all the line works and wrinkles and stuff that they sculpted in very well. Articulation-wise, you got a single ball peg for the upper body, which gets you a fair bit of range of motion. And then you have an ab crunch in the lower body. And you also get the swivel where the ball peg is in the upper body. So just like Jaina Solo, all that works very well. The shoulders are all painted, and then the line work here for her tattoo is all painted. And then you have a wrist swivel and a hinge in out on your trigger finger hand. Same for the other side with a hand in and out. It is a holding hand. I feel a way about characters that come with one accessory and two holding hands. It doesn't suit me. If you're going to have a holding hand, my recommendation is to also have a posing hand. It just ends up giving the figure more life when you go to pose it. So the fingers are all painted, and then the base plastic brown is used for the gloves. For the lower body, the belt is painted, the belt buckle is painted. The floating belt is washed and then painted with silver accents, black accents, and that looks really well, or really well done rather. And then you have the holster, which is glued to this strap, which is sculpted and painted onto the leg itself. All the sculpt work is done really well, just as it was with Jaina Solo, all the wrinkles and such. T-jointed ball joints for hips, get you out to there, forward all the way to there, no real backward motion, which is fine. We have a thigh swivel on a cut joint, and then we have a double jointed knee that gets you pretty much the full range. Moving on to the ankles, you have an ankle tilt up and down that operates on a disc hinge. Be careful, because sometimes that can snap the peg. The peg itself comes from the disc hinge into the foot, which gets you an ankle rocker. So that's how it's put together, and that's how it's done, and it's fairly effective, just as it was with Jaina Solo, except now they even have a better head sculpt and way of painting it. And there she is from the back. The vest is also washed, which is worth noting. Size comparison wise, there she is with old BT. I'm waiting on my other murder droid to arrive, so I can't have the crew together quite yet. But it looks good. And I don't really know what I'm going to do with her yet, but for right now, I have her hanging out in Jabba's palace with a few other misfits. Let's get the negatives right out of the way. For one, the holster is a little tight to fit that pistol in, for whatever reason. Not sure what happened there. I don't remember the same issue with Jaina, but something's going on there. I also can't stand when they use these holding hands with nothing to hold. It's just always a challenge to get them to have a natural look on a shelf when they just got this C hand hanging down by their side for no apparent reason. And I would like to see them start to try to implement double jointed elbows for their characters in general, and I know female characters are a little bit more tricky to establish that, or accomplish that rather, but it doesn't change the fact that I would like to see it. I think Black Series is a brand that has continued to improve for the most part over the years, so if they were going to continue on a trajectory of improvement, why not that one be the next? Although it is largely just a reuse of the same mold, it works efficiently and has the charm of a new figure, so well done and kudos to them for that. That's not always the easiest thing to do. I'm okay with reuses when it makes sense, and this one does. Positives wise, it's painted to the nines. We got washes being used on both the hat and the vest, as well as the shirt underneath. We have the Tampo style paint on the arm. We have the digital paint on the face. We have metallic paint on the goggles. We have metallic paint on the belt buckle and muzzle. And then we have some flat paints as well. So it's painted well. It's sculpted beautifully per usual. I think it's a really well done figure of kind of a cult classic kind of character now. So it's a strong recommend from me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.